We are experiencing technical difficulties. Please stand by. We'll return to our program shortly.
From Montreal in Canada, the New York Mets in the final game of the year. Game number 162. Brian Little at second base. The shortstop is Argenis Salazar. At third base, Tim Wallach. Out in left field, Jim Wolford. The center fielder, Tim Raines. And the right fielder, Andre Dawson. Gary Carter is the catcher. And on the mound is Bill Gullickson with a record of 11-9, an earned run average of 3.56. Gullickson with 3 complete games this year, making his 32nd start.
And the lineup for the New York Mets, Herm Winningham leading off and playing center field. Catcher John Stearns, his second game in a row that he started behind the plate, will bat second. Kevin Mitchell at third, batting third. Darryl Strawberry, a big 2-run homer in last night's game. He now leads the Mets in home runs with 24. He'll bat fourth. George Foster once again in the lineup, playing left field, batting fifth. Danny Heap at first will bat sixth. Rafael Santana at shortstop, batting seventh. Ron Gardenhire, the second baseman, will bat eighth, and Ron Darling, the pitcher, on the mound with a 12-8 record, but has really had a shaky second half, the antithesis of Bill Gullickson, Ralph.
Yeah, Gullickson has pitched well in the second half. Last year he was 17-12. This year he has won 11 and lost 9, and he'll be working to Herm Winningham, who is 2 for 5 so far in this series. We apologize for the problems at the start of the show, and we're now live here from Montreal. And the first pitch of the ball game is ripped into right field, and right over there is Andre Dawson, and he makes the play. 1 pitch and 1 away.
Herm Winningham cracking the first pitch off of Bill Gullickson, and we noted last night that that ever-present chaw is there once again today. Thing looks like it's locked in there. Huh?
That's a little more than tongue-in-cheek, isn't it? And now the batter is John Stearns. John, the catcher in the ball game for the second time in a row. John had not started as a catcher for the Mets since August 12, 1982, and he takes the first pitch, and the count is strike 1. Back with a curveball, 1 ball, 1 strike. Stearns 1 for 5 in yesterday's ball game, and he is playing out his what they call the walk year. This is his year that he is playing out his contract. He will be up for grabs as far as the free agency is concerned, and he pops up to the second baseman, Brian Little. What is that routine, Tim, you came up with about the college coach that was so tough? Playing out, the kid was a sophomore playing out his walk year or something like that?
Yeah, there was a comedy routine by a brilliant comic in New York named Bill Sheff, and he said that when he was a sports writer in Albany, New York, that the writers up there were so tough they'd ask a high school sophomore if he was going to return the next year.
Or he's playing out his walk here.
Now that's a tough sports writer there.
And the first pitch to Kevin Mitchell is lined foul, so the count at strike 1. Mitchell playing third base in today's ball game. Just underway here at the Big O in Montreal. Mitchell hitting at 300 in his very brief appearance here in the major leagues, 3 for 10. Stearns, when he came up to the plate, was batting 154, and Winningham was hitting 364. And that's it. Mets go in order in the score at the end. 1/2 inning to play. The Mets nothing. Montreal coming up. Now here's a word from Michelob Light. No score in the ball game, and for the Mets it'll be Darryl Strawberry, and Darryl has had quite a September. After a miserable August, Darryl did not have a home run in the month of August. He has had 7 home runs and 28 runs batted in the month of September. Pretty good way to finish the year, Tim.
See you in September.
Yeah.
And Darryl Strawberry, after really a horrible August, he didn't hit a home run in the month of August. has really come back to put some numbers on the board. By the way, how often in Major League Baseball at 1:15 Eastern Time is a game completed in the National League, or the American League for that matter? Philadelphia Phillies lost to the Pirates 2-0. John Tudor the winner, John Denny the loser. Don Robinson got a save. Here it is, just 1:15. That was an 11 a.m. start last day of the year, doubleheader.
It's a getaway day.
Yeah, get away forever.
Get away for the year. I remember when we'd play the last day of the season, I'd have the engine running in my car in the first inning. And there's a drive to right. It's gone. Goodbye. Darryl Strawberry adds on one more. Boy, that ball a rocket right out of the ballpark as Strawberry gets his 8th home run of the month of September.
Home run number 25. He leads the Mets. He's only one behind last year's total, even though he's been up the whole year this year. And RBI number 96, and that's really incredible. His 29th RBI in the month of September. The reason it's incredible, he's only 9 RBIs behind the leaders, Gary Carter and Mike Schmidt, and he considers himself having a bad year.
Well, a lot of people have said that.
Fastball, outside part of the plate, great extension. Look at Dawson. He turns around, knew it was gone. Well, what a great swing right here. Closed, opens, lets the hands open the body. Bango.
Well, that weight transfer is fantastic right there. And now the batter is George Foster. And Foster has seen his home run lead on the Mets taken away by Darryl Strawberry here in the last 2 days. Strawberry now with 25. Foster was tied with Strawberry. And this one is ripped to left field, and it is gone. Goodbye.
It's like we got a little individual competition going here. Well, you love to see that when you're a manager of a ball club. You want those players hungry for numbers. Bill Gullickson, by the way, this year, his 26th home run yielded. Strawberry's home run is 25th yielded. 26 home runs, an awful lot of home runs for a guy like Gullickson. And when you give Foster a chance to extend those arms, that's what happens. Got to tie him up, and then you can go away. But if you try to open up by going away, he'll kill you.
And now the batter is Danny Heap, and Danny takes the first pitch of strike. So back-to-back home runs by the Mets. Strawberry's 25th and Foster's 24th. And the Mets lead by a score of 2-0. And now the pitch back, and it's ball 2. And the fastball fouled into the stands, and the count 2 balls and 1 strike. Gullickson with a record of 11-9 and an home run average of 3.56 coming into this ball game. He holds the rookie strikeout record of 18 strikeouts. It was challenged twice by Darryl Strawberry. I should say challenged twice by Dwight Gooden when Dwight had 16 strikeouts in 2 ball games, and there's ball 4. And the Mets trying to pick up win number 91. They have a 2-0 lead, and Danny Heap comes up with a walk.
Hey, if you're a New York Mets fan, your appetite certainly has to be whetted for the 1985 season, wouldn't you say?
Exciting ball club, and they have won 7 of their last 8 ball games.
Top of the 3rd inning, 2-2 ball game. Bill Gullickson against Ron Darling. A shaky second for both pitchers. 3 home runs in the game so far. One by Strawberry and Foster of the Mets, and a 2-run homer by Dan Dreesen. His 16th home run of the year. Herm Winningham, the batter. Winningham lined sharply to Dawson in right field his first time up. Good-looking player. Fastball is high from Gullickson.
Gotta like his name, Winningham.
Yeah. 1-1 as opposed to losing ham.
Yeah.
Right? Line drive, base hit for Herm Winningham. Entered the game batting .364 with 5 RBIs and 2 extra base hits. Had a 2-run triple in last night's game.
Right here, he looks at that curveball and puts a good move on it. Just a smooth stroke on it. And a line drive base hit between the first baseman and second baseman.
Yeah, that's well said. A smooth stroke, meaning that he didn't jump at the ball. A lot of times that bender will make you jump out, bring your hands with you, and you lose all your power. Winningham just hit it like it was thrown, didn't he?
Well, like he knew it was coming.
John Stearns, the batter, 1-0 to John. He popped to second his first time up. Hit and run situation here. Is Gullickson thinking right along with that theory.
Stearns a very good hit and run man. When he was playing every day, he was that type of hitter.
Another throw to first. Gullickson with that unusual step-off move. Not really your A move. He steps off and then throws over. Winningham not going, and another fastball is high, 2-0. John diligently checking acting manager Bobby Valentine at third. And Stearns had a free swing, fouled it back.
John's going to play winter ball this year, and of course the big question as he plays out his option is whether or not the Mets will sign him or whether some other ball club will. And of course there's some doubts about his ability to be able to play with that bad arm for 2 years.
There goes Winningham, fouls it back, 2-2 to Stearns.
So the more he plays, the better chance he has.
And you would think that an American League club would be interested in John Stearns, even if he couldn't throw, as maybe a designated hitter. He still runs well. He's young enough. He's 33. But that 2-year layoff really had to hurt him to a great degree.
A lot of doubt whether or not he can come back from a 2-year layoff. He can play third base and he can play first base.
Good slider right there. Strikes out John Stearns. First strikeout for Gullickson.
Now this is a very, very good pitch. Ball sliding out at the last second and into a real good pitcher's position as Gullickson picks up his first strikeout.
When two of the Hart's friends are suspected in a murder, the Harts set out to clear them. However, the murderer wants to stop them both. I guess that's right. Don't miss tomorrow's thrilling episode of Heart to Heart at 6 p.m. right here on Channel 9. Your station for sports and news.
And promos.
And promos. Kevin Mitchell, the batter, he lined sharply to Tim Wallach back in the first inning. 2-2 ball game. There goes Winningham. Pitch is high. The throw and a beauty. Gary Carter, who certainly can do it all. That cliche applies to Carter as much as anybody in the game.
Well, this is a real great release. Carter with that fast release, a perfect throw. There's no doubt about it. And the tag is made by the second baseman, Brian Little. And boy, that's letter perfect right there.
Had a good pitch to handle. Throw right on the bag. First time that Winningham has been caught stealing. He has 2 stolen bases. 1-0 to Mitchell. Grounded toward third. Wallach bobbles, picks it up, throws him out. No runs, a hit, no errors, and nobody left. At the end of 2.5, it's 2-2. Well, Davy Johnson's 1984 Mets caused a lot of excitement this year, both on the field and at the turnstiles. The club's happy to announce that it's posted the second highest win total in Mets history. And the attendance mark over 1,800,000. The best since 1973, and many baseball people feel that 1985 will be the year the Mets return to the top in the NL East standings. So now's the time to take action and make your plans for season tickets next year. Many of you are aware that the demand for season plans for Mets games is at its highest level in years, as the club sold over 1,000 of these plans during the season. So we urge you to act now and have your name placed on the season priority list in order to get the best seats at Shea. If you're interested, send your name and address to Season Tickets, New York Mets, Shea Stadium, Flushing, New York, 11368. It's never too early to think about baseball, especially about the New York Mets, so think about the Mets in '85 and stake your claim for season tickets at Shea.
And fans, the revised edition of the 1984 Mets yearbook is now available by mail. Players added since the start of the season: Kelvin Chapman, Jerry Martin, Brent Gaff, and Bruce Bereni. Each have full pages with pictures and bios, and there's a brand new team picture. Get your revised Mets yearbook by sending the check or money order for $4.50 to Promotions Graphics, Department M like in Met, 160 Varick Street, V-A-R-I-C-K, New York, New York, 113. That's $4.50 to Promotions Graphics, Department M, 160 Varick Street, New York, New York, 113 the zip. Please make all checks payable to the New York Mets.
And Bill Gullickson fouls off the first fastball from Darling. Gullickson batting 113 on the year. Good breaking ball there. 0-2 to Bill.
Excuse me.
It's all right. This nippy weather up here. We have really had some pretty good days up in Montreal. You don't anticipate seeing weather like this or experiencing weather like this at this time of year. Got him with the fastball. Second strikeout for Darling, and there's one away.
Final game of the year, and a final game of the year in that second game of a doubleheader in Philadelphia. Emblematic of that, Don Robinson, one of the pitchers for the Pirates, is playing left field in the game.
How about that?
And he pitched in the first game in relief.
Now that's a throwback.
And Mike Schmidt is playing first base for the Phillies. And Schmidt just hit his 36th home run in the first inning of that second game to tie him with Dale Murphy of Atlanta for the league lead in Dinger.
Also ties him with Gary Carter for the league lead in RBIs with 106.
That is correct. It was a solo home run. Darryl Strawberry homered, and he takes the strike from Bill Gullickson. Strawberry hit his 25th of the year, a shot into the right field seats. And the count now 1-1. And that was the first time this year the Mets had hit back-to-back home runs when Strawberry and Foster homered in the second. And misses inside, 2-1. Gullickson has given up 26 home runs now, and he's pitched 223 innings. Well hit to center field. Rain's going way back to the left field corner. It's out of here. Darryl drills one almost to the deepest part of the ballpark. What a rocket.
Now let me tell you something. It's not that easy. Second home run of the ball game for Darryl Strawberry, and he now matches last season's output with 26 on the year. His 30th RBI in September. What a tremendous shot this is. This is a good pitch right here. Well, look at that head. Arm extension. Timmy Raines can't believe it either.
The ball just kept going.
97 RBIs for Strawberry now.
What extension right on that ball. Darryl's just red hot. His 9th home run in the month of September.
After hitting none in August.
And here's George Foster, who hit his 24th home run his first time up. And he hits a fly ball to right field, down the right field line. Dreesen chasing it. He can't get it. Dawson couldn't get there either. So George, who was almost a second, will have to come back at strike one.
I think the reason that it's particularly good for Strawberry to finish strong is his depressed state of mind in the month of August. Showed up late one day at the clubhouse. A lot of nitpicking things that really shouldn't, enter your season in baseball when you're a professional. Had a lot of problems with things other than the field, and it's kind of good for him to end on a positive note.
Well, it probably reflects his better state of mind. You know, I mean, one helps the other.
Yeah, that's right.
But
that's right.
He did get himself pulled together, and it showed. Two strikes on George. Oh, baby.
That's a little purpose pitch right there.
Right over the helmet.
Keep Foster from going out over the plate. That was close. But a pitcher's got to use that to keep the outside part of the plate productive for him, and the Mets have hit 3 home runs. I think it also points up with Darrell that you have to try to be the same when you're going through a tough period as you are when you go through a good period.
Well,
Kurt Simmons used to say the gap has got to be kind of even. Small gap.
Foster threw his bat at the ball, basically, and grounds out to Dreesen unassisted. Yeah, I think baseball, more so than any other sport, lends itself to an even keel approach. 1 for 2. He lined out to right his first time up. And another base hit. Winningham continues to pound the ball. That's his 4th hit in this series and 8 times up.
And Winningham has certainly opened some eyes here in the big leagues. That's how you get started. You open a few eyes, and then you make them come to attention the next spring, and then you carry that on to the season. That's how big league careers begin.
And Herm Winningham is making a strong bid.
Yes, sir.
Throw over to first. Winningham has 2 stolen bases, and he's been caught 1 time. That came in the 3rd inning of this ball game. Stearns 0 for 2 has popped to second and struck out. Pitch out. Winningham not going. Carter calls a lot of pitch outs, doesn't he?
Yeah, he does.
Probably helps his base runners thrown out percentage. And he has a good one.
If you pitch out early in a ball game, well, you can thwart later efforts to go because base runners will be more reluctant to go for fear that you'll pitch out. So you establish it early and then don't do it later in the game. That's good policy.
It is. You even get some of the hitters thinking you might be pitching out on certain counts. Two balls, no strikes, 2 out. Winningham at first.
I look for a lot of different pitches, but I never looked for a pitch out.
Well, we saw a pitch out. We saw a pitch out hit here the other night.
Last night.
That'll be out of play.
Of course, it wasn't pitched out. The only thing that was out was Carter.
That's right.
Pitching against Darrell Strawberry.
Darrell took care of that pitch out. Greg Barger put it right over the plate, and Darrell ripped it into right field. 2-1. Winningham's running, and the pitch is fouled back again. John Stearns would like to be back with the Mets next year. But whether or not he's even in the big leagues is going to depend on what he does in winter ball in Puerto Rico this year. Two and two. Winningham going again. And again, the pitch is fouled back. So Herm getting his running in. We'll probably do it one more time. Winningham not wearing spikes. He's wearing rubber-soled shoes on this artificial surface. The only dirt out here is the sliding area around each base. And there he goes. Popped up. Short center field. Little. And the inning is over. So a single and 1 left. Here in the 5th inning for New York. Montreal still on top, 5-3. Now here's a word from Michelob Light. Go in Montreal for the start of the 7th inning. A 5-3 Montreal lead on this final day of the '84 season. Coming back in for the play-by-play in his final 3 innings on the year in 1984. A man who has been here as long as the Mets have been in existence. Ralph Kiner.
23 years.
That's a lifetime for some people.
And it seems like only yesterday, and you know what a lousy day yesterday was.
Yeah, a drum roll, please. Rim shot.
23 great years. It really has been. Even the year that the Mets lost 120 ball games in 1962 was enjoyable because it was the start of New York National League Baseball back in the big city. Here's Rafael Santana, the leadoff for the Mets. Rafael 1 for 2 in this ball game. And Gullickson with his first pitch, breaking ball for ball 1.
That hit that Santana got in the 2nd inning was his first this year against Montreal.
And that ball fouled back out of play in the count 1 ball and 1 strike. Now, you and Tim are talking about your train trip to Savannah, Georgia. You're too young to remember the good glory days of the great trains. There's a fastball hit out to right field. Andre Dawson is there. You know, the evolution of a ball player was you started out in Class D ball and you rode the buses. Then you got the trip to AA baseball, which was the same as AAA right now, and you got to the train leagues, and then you got to the major leagues, and you got to ride in Pullman cars.
Well, I'm not too young to not remember those minor league bus trips, I'll guarantee you. Trains have come a long way, just as baseball has.
Well, the old Super Chief is one of the great trains. I remember taking that from Los Angeles to from L.A. to Chicago. 20th Century Limited that went from Chicago to New York. They were glamorous trips. Great trains. They don't make them like that anymore.
Well, I'll give you a full report on my trip home.
Okay. There's a pop-up into shallow center field. Moving up in the ball is Tim Raines. He makes the catch. In the year 1952, I had hit 37 home runs, and we were taking a train from Cincinnati back to Pittsburgh, and I didn't know whether Hank Sauer had hit a home run or not, and I couldn't find out. And we used to stop on these milk car runs in different little cities on the way back, and about 2 a.m. I got off the train at one of these little small towns, got the Western Union operator to find out whether or not Hank Sauer had a home run, and he didn't have a home run, so he ended up tied for the championship in home runs that year. Well, there was a lot of romance to those trains. Brent Gaff in the bullpen for the New York Mets. And the paid attendance here today, 14,183. And the Montreal Expos have drawn 1,606,581. And we have a pinch hitter for the New York Mets, Mookie Wilson. And Mookie takes the pitch for ball 1.
Mookie hitting .276, 10 home runs. A career high for him. Mookie's 5 for 8 as a pinch hitter with 1 RBI. That's pretty good.
And he misses a fastball. Count 2 balls and 1 strike. Ron Darling out of the ball game with Mookie batting here. Darling working 6 innings. Gave up 5 runs on 5 base hits, and the count down 2 balls and 2 strikes. Three and 2. Bill Gullickson, working for the Montreal Expos, came into this game with a record of 11-9. Last year he won 17 and lost 12. And the fastball for ball 4. So Mookie keeps his batting average intact as he picks up a walk. Second walk issued by Gullickson. And it brings up Herm Winningham. Herm is 2 for 3. Mookie Wilson, the runner at first base. And the fastball for ball 1. Mattingly has singled in the first inning. In his battle with Winfield, he now has gone ahead of Winfield. His batting average 3.406. Winfield is 3.404.
That's about as tight as you can get.
Winfield hit into a fielder's choice his first time up. Sort of reminds me of 1941 when Ted Williams went into the last day of the season with a doubleheader to play and a chance to hit 400. Joe Cronin, the manager, asked him if he wanted to sit out the doubleheader. He says, "No, I'll play." All he did was get 6 for 8 in the doubleheader to hit 406.
Oh.
3 balls, no strikes.
That might be the epitome of a strong finish.
And there's a strike call. It's 3-1. He didn't win the MVP that year, even though he was the last man to hit 400. Batting 406 for the year. Joe DiMaggio won it. Joe hit in 56 consecutive ball games. 19.
And his ball club did a little better than...
They finished first. I think the Red Sox finished second. 1941. Year the Rogers Hornsby hit 424, highest average ever by a right-hand batter. He did not win the most valuable player that year. Dazzy Vance, the Brooklyn Dodger pitcher, won it. 3-1 pitch, line to left field, another base hit for Winningham, and he is impressive. His third base hit of this ball game, and it's his 11th base hit in 25 at-bats.
Mookie breaking on the pitch, and Winningham now has a hit to right, to center, and now to left on the hit and run. But because it was to left, Mookie had to stop at second. And now Galen Cisco, the pitching coach, is out to talk to Gullickson. With 2 out, the Mets have runners at first and second.
Galen Cisco, a former Met pitcher. So the Mets with runners at first and second and 2 men out here in the top of the 7th inning. And the batter for the Mets will be John Stearns.
The Mets have 8 hits in this ball game. Montreal with only 5, but Montreal leading 5-3.
Mets have had 8 base hits, and 3 of them have been home runs. And they're still trailing.
Those are their only runs.
John Stearns, the batter. John is 0 for 3. And the first pitch is fouled off. There's Mr. Nelson Doubleday. Nelson Doubleday, of course, the principal owner of the New York Mets, up here for this final ball game with the Mets in Montreal. And that's strike 2. Stearns starting his second game as catcher since August 12th, 1982. Line drive, base hit to left field. Mookie Wilson rounding third on his way home and coming in to score. And John Stearns with a base hit has driven in a run. And the Mets are within 1 of tying up this ball game. Winningham moving on down to second base.
Stearns with a good piece of hitting here. A 2-strike pitch. His second hit of the series, and he picks up his first RBI of the year. Mookie can really motor. Walford came up with the ball. The throw was up the line and cut off, but he really had no shot to get Mookie anyway.
And that base hit knocks Gullickson out of the pitcher's box. So Bill Gullickson leaving the ball game after 6 2/3 innings. And a new pitcher coming in for Montreal.
And it looks like Jeff Reardon is going to be the new pitcher. We'll tell you what else is happening in baseball. There's not much going on at this hour, but many of the games are underway. In the first of a doubleheader, Pittsburgh beat Philadelphia 2-0. John Tudor the winner, John Denny the loser, and Don Robinson, who is playing left field in the second game of the doubleheader for the Pirates, got the save, his 10th of the year. The Pirates are leading the Phillies in the second game of the doubleheader in the bottom of the fourth inning, 6-1. Larry McWilliams against Raleigh, the starter. Firevid is in relief of Raleigh in the fourth inning. Mike Schmidt has hit his 36th home run, a solo shot in the first for the Phillies. San Diego leads Atlanta 1-0, bottom of the third. Booker against Perez. Cincinnati leading Houston 1-0. That's in the top of the second inning. Mike Scott against Mario Soto. St. Louis and Chicago in the second inning, no score. Ownby against Sanderson, and San Francisco will be at Los Angeles later on. In the American League, Minnesota leads Cleveland 2-1, bottom of the fourth. And that's the only American League action underway. Tony Gwynn has left the game in Atlanta against the Braves, and he finishes the 1984 season with 213 hits and a batting average of .351 on the year. And Gwynn's nearest competitor going into today, a tie between Lee Lacy of Pittsburgh and Ryne Sandberg of the Cubs at .316. So at .351, Tony Gwynn has the National League batting title wrapped up.
Just like a Christmas package, boy. He has really got it wrapped up.
I don't think he went more than 2 consecutive games this year, Ralph, without a hit. He never had a slump.
He will be considered as one of the candidates for MVP honors, having had that outstanding season for the San Diego Padres, along with Keith Hernandez of the New York Mets, and also Ryne Sandberg of the Chicago Cubs. How could the Cubs go wrong when they have an entire infield of animals? Have a penguin at third base, a bull at shortstop, a rhino at second base, and a bull at first.
That's right.
They got to be a winner.
They're just animals.
That's right.
They eat you up.
Well, it's Jeff Reardon now in for Montreal. He has a record of 7 wins, 7 losses, and 22 saves, an earned run average of 2.98. This is his 68th ball game, and he's working to Kevin Mitchell in the first pitch, a breaking ball for ball 1. Mitchell in this game is 0 for 3, and he's hit 3 line drives. John Stearns, a runner at first base. Winningham, the runner at second, and this ball fouled back out of play. Stearns picking up a run batted in when he drove in Mookie Wilson from second base. His first RBI in 2 years.
And all this has happened here. The Mets pulling to within a run with 2 out in the 7th inning. And Winningham represents the tying run at second.
Jeff Reardon, of course, a former New York Met. And the fastball is fouled back out of play, and the count 1-2. Reardon was traded by the Mets when the Mets picked up Ellis Valentine. 22 saves this year. He was originally drafted by Montreal, didn't sign with Montreal, ended up with the Mets. Good curveball. Mitchell was struck out. That ends the inning. So 1 run on 2 hits, also a walk, and 2 men left on. And the score at the end of 6.5 innings. Montreal 5, the New York Mets 4. So Ron Hodges as a pinch hitter. Ron has had 1 home run this year, and it came as a pinch hitter. And Reardon with a fastball. I guess Pete Rose needs about 99 more hits to tie Ty Cobb. Pretty close to that. Most hits in the history of Major League Baseball.
Well, he got over 100 this year. I guess he could get over 100 next year.
Yeah, he can play anytime he wants.
That's right.
He's the manager. 1 ball, 1 strike.
And in all fairness, he's done a pretty good job, Ralph, when he's put himself in the lineup.
He's hit very well. And the fastball is missed in the count of 1-2. Pete Rose has been at bat more times than anybody that ever played Major League Baseball.
He's done a lot of things more than anybody else.
Boy, he has, hasn't he? And the fastball is missed, and Hodges is struck out. So no runs, 1 hit. 1 man left on base, and the score at the end of 7 1/2 innings. The Montreal Expos 5, the New York Mets 4. And now, a word from Garcia Vega. Napoleon Lajoie won a batting championship his last day of the season when he beat out 7 bunts.
7 bunts in 1 game?
And, no, doubleheader.
Oh, okay. I was going to say. Little walks to lead off the 8th inning. 7 bunts in a doubleheader.
Beat out Ty Cobb. And there was, of course, Ty Cobb was never a well-liked ball player.
I bet he was furious.
And there might have been some collusion involved in that situation.
Got a little help from his friends.
Third baseman played in shallow left field.
As if he didn't expect the bunt about the 3rd or 4th time. Andre Dawson is 0 for 2. And he squares but takes outside. Dawson 0 for 10 in this series. He did walk in the 3rd inning and scored on a wild pitch. Big cut, no contact, 1-1. Pitchers of record in this game are Darling on the losing side and Gullickson on the winning side, as Gaff and Reardon are in the game in relief now. 5 runs on 5 hits for Montreal. The Mets have 4 runs on 10 hits. Denny Heap had to come off the bag to snare it. One and one the count on Dawson. Little running and the bunt right down the first base side. Danny Heap will backpedal to the bag. And there's 1 out with Little at second base. A sacrifice, 3 unassisted for Dawson. And here's Gary Carter, who is 2 for 2. He's also reached on an error, driven in a run, and scored 2 runs.
Well, the last day of the season and Dawson sacrificing there, you have to think that maybe Dawson is rooting for Gary Carter to win the RBI championship, as he gave himself up to move the runner into scoring position. But now Carter is going to be walked intentionally.
Yep, that all goes out the window. And Gary's got to feel frustrated. We don't know if Mike Schmidt has driven in a run in the Pittsburgh-Philadelphia game. He obviously didn't in the first game of the doubleheader because the Phillies did not score. And at last report, they had only scored 1 run in the second game. He did drive in a run in the second game with a home run. So he and Carter are, as far as we know, tied at 106 RBIs.
And this is a backup to my argument that an intentional walk should be credited to a batter as a base hit, because you lose your chance to do anything when you're walked intentionally. In other words, you can't drive in a run. And here is a chance for Carter with a runner at second base to win the RBI championship, and he's walked intentionally, and he gets absolutely nothing out of it. He loses a chance to do anything.
That's a valid point. There are some unusual scoring rules in baseball. Some of them have evolved over the years, others have not. And they've tried to make it as fair as they can to everybody, and Jesse Orozco is going to come into the game.
But there's no doubt about the fact that when you're walked intentionally, you really don't get any credit for anything other than the fact you do get a walk.
Well, you have the opportunity to score a run and or maybe steal a base, and that's about it. But usually when you're walked intentionally, there's somebody ahead of you on the base path, so that eliminates the stolen base. But you're right. It just takes the offense out of your hands entirely.
When you get up and there are runners at second and third and you get an intentional walk, you lose a chance of driving in 2 runs, maybe 3. So it's really a detriment to a hitter.
Well, Brent Gaff leaves the game with runners at first and second. He pitches 1 1/3 innings. So far charged with no runs, no hits. He struck out 2 and walked 2. And Jesse is on as he and Stearns get together. Jesse's 10 and 6 on the year with a fine 2.61 ERA. He has 31 saves. That puts him 3rd in the National League, behind Bruce Suter's league-leading 45. Jesse's 60th appearance. He's pitched 86 1/3 innings. Walked 34 and struck out 85, almost 1 per inning. And he will be trying to shut down Montreal here in the bottom of the 8th and allow the Mets to have a chance in the top of the 9th as Montreal leads by 1.
Incidentally, Bruce Sutter, with his 45 saves, has tied the Major League record for saves in a single season. The record set by Quisenberry last year. So Sutter with 45 saves, and Quisenberry comes into today's action with 44 saves.
Suter might get a shot today. There wasn't any scored last report early in the ball game. St. Louis at Chicago. Ownby against Sanderson.
Roscoe with a Met record in saves of 31. Far surpassing the record that Tug McGraw used to hold.
How about those notes that Jay Horwitz came up with today? Did you like those?
What notes?
Well, let's see. We can pick out one for you. He said that Mets coach Bill Robinson has invented a talking golf ball, which will be a boon to golfers everywhere.
Going to have a press conference on that later,
That's right. Vern Hoscheit will be meeting with Nebraska football coach Tom Osborne to discuss the Huskers' shocking loss to Syracuse. Of course, Vern is from Nebraska and will be returning home there. Wally Backman has been chosen to play a part in Walt Disney's new film, It's a Small, Small World. And Dan Dreesen gets a breezer for ball 1. Jay went crazy today. Final day of the season. He just pulled out all the stops. Check swing, foul ball, 1-1. Said Tom Gorman, who, like Bing Crosby, attended Gonzaga University, will receive the Crosby Man of the Year award. A spruce tree will be planted at Gonzaga's campus Thursday in Tom's honor, of course. Where he came up with these things, I'll never know. Breaking ball lofted into center field. Winningham with plenty of room. And too shallow for Little to tag in advance, so he remains at second.
In Tom Gorman's case, he speaks with forked tongue.
He can throw that fork ball. So Dreesen, after homering and doubling and driving in 3, has flied out his last 2 times up, and here's Jim Wolford, who is 0 for 3. The bottom of the order for Montreal has done nothing except strike out 5 times. Wolford struck out once, line to right and line to left. Strike called. Jesse with that big sweeping breaking ball. Sort of a slurve. Half slider, half curve. Fastball grounded to second. Gardenhire to Heap, and the inning is over. So Jesse comes in with runners at first and second and gets 2 batters to end the inning. And we will go to the 9th here in Montreal on the finale. 5-4 Montreal leading. Top of the 9th, Montreal leading the Mets 5-4. And And it'll be Ron Gardenhire to lead it off against Jeff Reardon. And then I would imagine a pinch hitter for Jesse Orozco. And then Herm Winningham, the leadoff batter, would be scheduled up third. Gardenhire is 0 for 3. He popped out in foul territory to Dan Dreesen on a nice play by Dreesen in the second. He's flied deep to center and to shallow center field. Right behind John Stearns is Rusty Staub, helmet and bat in hand, so probably we'll see Rusty's final appearance of 84. Strike one to Gardenhire.
And speaking of final appearances, we'd be very remiss if we didn't thank our great director, Mr. Bill Webb, for all the great shots of this season, and our executive producer, Mr. Ralph Robbins.
We could not do anything without them both. They do a great job. Too high, and it's 1 ball, 2 strikes on Gardenhire. Two and two now. Fly ball down the right field line. I don't know what happened, but the crowd says he caught it. Dawson went into the corner and got it in foul territory. Out number 1.
Well, now you get a chance to see the play as we look at it from this angle. Dawson right against that wall, making a fine play. Great ballet shot right there.
And they just showed that replay on the big TV screen in center field, and the crowd applauds the play once again. Fine play by Dawson.
And this bud's for the New York Mets. Win or lose, you sure gave us a lot of thrills. Here's to you, the king of beers.
And here comes Rusty, the number 1 pinch hitter for the 2nd year in a row in the National League. Rusty hitting .268. 18 for 65 as a pinch hitter with 1 home run and 18 RBIs. Those 18 RBIs also lead the National League, along with his 18 pinch hits. And what production? 18 hits and 18 RBIs. That's pretty good.
Le Grand Orange, as he's known up here in Montreal, one of the great favorites of Montreal fans when he played here.
He's been a popular player wherever he has played. Check swing, ground ball to third, bobbled by Wallach, but he throws out Rusty, and there are 2 out. Well, Ralph, as I said to Tim, I will say to you in all sincerity, I've really enjoyed this season, and in fact the 2 years that I've been here. It's a pleasure to work with such a professional and such an experienced baseball man as yourself.
What you're saying is I'm an old announcer, huh?
Not really.
Well, it's been great. It really has been. No matter how you phrase it. A lot of fun. Enjoyed every minute of it. It's been a great season. The time went by in a hurry.
Winningham with 2 out and nobody on here in the 9th takes a strike from Reardon. We've had a good time, and the ball club's success has certainly enhanced that for all of us, fans included. Strike 2.
And we've also received great cooperation from the Mets management all the way down the line, from the top to the bottom. Frank Cashin at the top, and all the people that work with us, cameramen, everybody in the WOR operation. It's always been fun, and it's been just a great year all the way around.
Winningham hits it into shallow right center. Dawson and Raines converging, and Tim Raines puts it away. Jeff Reardon has closed the door on the New York Mets season, as well as Montreal's, as he pitches a 1-2-3 9th inning. And the Expos win the final game of the year. The Mets will finish their season 90-72, 18 games over 500. And of course they have second place in the bag. The winning pitcher is Bill Gullickson. He finishes the year at 12-9, and Ron Darling takes the loss. He is also 12-9 on the year. Ralph and I will be right back to wrap it up. Stay with us here from the Big O in Montreal. The Expos win it 5-4. Now,
Season with a loss, and ended the season with a loss, losing here today to the Montreal Expos by a score of 5-4. But in between, it was a great year as the Mets finished second for the first time in the history of the ball club. And of course, the Mets came from 6th place to 2nd with an outstanding season of 90 wins. So it has been a sensational year for the New York Mets and for Davey Johnson. A good chance for Dwight Gooden to be the Rookie of the Year, possibly the Cy Young Award winner. And there's an outside chance that Keith Hernandez might be the MVP of the year. All those things will be decided by vote a little bit later on. But in between, it's been fun.
Oh, it's been great. And you have to feel very happy. You know, we're just a peripheral part of this thing. But the owner of the ball club, Nelson Doubleday, here in Montreal, had a plan when he bought the ball club, and President Fred Wilpon, General Manager Frank Cashin has done an unbelievable job in acquiring talent. They've drafted well. They've built this ball club basically in the last 5 years from within. Very few players. Keith Hernandez, a notable exception, coming from other ball clubs. But right on down the line, as you said, the front office and management during the telecast have to be extremely gratified, because all that work that goes in is finally now being realized. The things that happened in you know, years past that nobody really recognized at the time or knew about. Sure, there were big names drafted, people like Darryl Strawberry and Dwight Gooden, who were outstanding young players. But when you see all of it come together in the major leagues, something that's an unknown factor at the time it's all beginning to be put together, that has to be very gratifying for those people involved, and we feel very fortunate to be a part of that.
And we are very fortunate to be a part of that, and we also want to thank you, the fans, who have come out in great droves and have watched our broadcast this year. Our ratings have been sensational. We have done very, very well in the TV department, and also, of course, in the stands, as the Mets have increased their attendance over 700,000 people this year. So next year, not too far away, about 5 months away, and the New York Mets looking forward to another great season. We hope you are too. Once again, the final score, the Montreal Expos winning by a score of 5-4. The participating advertisers in New York Mets baseball have been Budweiser, the king of beers. Reach for that distinctively clean, crisp taste that says Budweiser. For all you do, this Bud's for you. Nissan. We're changing our name from Datsun to Nissan. Known for high-quality cars and trucks for 50 years, Datsun is now Nissan. Manufactures Hanover, the financial source worldwide, and by Garcia Vega. Its natural leaf wrapper gives you rich tobacco taste. Garcia Vega, still an honest cigar. So until next year, 1985, this is Ralph Kiner saying thank you for being with us, along with Tim McCarver and Steve Zabriskie. The executive producer of Mets Baseball is Ralph Robbins. Produced and directed by Bill Webb. The associate director was Tom Chapery. Today's game was produced by the Channel 9 Sports Department. The announcers on the preceding telecast were approved and contracted for by AA Sports Incorporated. And from Montreal, a goodbye.